Good afternoon to you, good afternoon. I know what today is. It's Thursday, it's the 26th of May 2022. I'm going to tell a long, complicated story, but first we need to do a little bit of homework, shall we say, which has got nothing to do with Brussels sprouts or tomato plants or cabbages, but we'll look at those while I gab. And betterave, and yeah. The 26th of May 2022 is Ascension Day. Now, some of you already knew that, some of you didn't, some of you care intensely, and there's a high probability that some of you really don't care at all. But anyway, Ascension Day, because it's a very important religious ceremony, a religious feast day, here in France it's a holiday, public holiday. All the shops that you want to go to are shut, all the shops you shouldn't go to are open, and in the Roman Catholic Church it's described as a day of obligation. You are obliged to go to Mass if you follow that particular tradition. And, you know, as I say, I know some of you know that and love that, and some of you didn't know it, and some of you detest it. Well, suck it up, Buttercup. It is what it is. But being a public holiday, it's also a day when some towns will have a brocante. You know, where everyone drags all of the rubbish out of their barn and flogs it. And I wanted to go to the brocante at Aubeterre, but Nicole, the lady that I take to church on a Sunday, yesterday she spoke to me and she said, Mass is at 11 o'clock, and she wasn't asking, she was telling, and anyway, I fulfilled my obligation. And I did explain to her and one or two other people that I did want to go to the brocante at Aubeterre. And we had a discussion as to what it was that I particularly wanted there. And at that point, we're going to have a change of scene. Shall we do it like Doctor Who with a sort of fuzzy screen while I change location? No, I'll just turn the camera off. But we'll turn it back on again long enough to see that beautiful rose that once dead heading. That was grown from a cutting, and I'm ever so pleased with that. Yeah, once tidying up a bit. The wind was a bit unkind the other night, so maybe later. Now, I'm doing all sorts of things, all supposedly leading to the same direction of making this house beautiful. And it's got these rather nice, what's the French word for it? Poignée. Handle. I keep calling it the manchon, but yeah, it's not. And some of them are beautiful sort of antique pieces, and some of them aren't, and some of them I have taken off and cleaned and painted and made that very respectable. That had got about 18 layers of paint on that when I got to it. And the one that was up there had an interesting crack across it, and it just sort of fell off in two pieces in my hand. And I thought things that one can't repeat on a public broadcast network, and yeah, it's sort of been troubling me, and I've spoken to people and I've said, have you got one? And I've been in the Brico-Marché, and the young lad there didn't know what I was talking about. Never mind, the old lady did, and she said no, they hadn't got any. And I went to another hardware shop, and they'd got them at horrendous prices, but they did point out that you've got to be careful with these because the size changes according to age, and yeah. So the object of going to the Brocante at Obterre today was to get the one piece that goes there. Yeah, and I spoke to my friends about this, and l'Abbé Cottard, he smiled indulgently and wished me well, and one old gentleman thought he might have some in his barn, but he's not really sure. So I went to the Brocante. And I walked all the way round the Brocante looking at everything carefully to see if I could find the single thing that I wanted. And I didn't. There was a lot of interesting stuff, but it's all interesting in the sense of interesting, but I really don't need it in my life. So I was very, very disciplined, and I didn't spend a bean. And I walked back to the car, and then I thought, do you know what? I will just have another little walk round, I thought. So I did, and I went to a stall that I had looked at and I hadn't found anything, and I had a look, and there was this wonderful box of stuff. And naturally I didn't know what size I wanted, so eventually I said to the gentleman, how much for the box? Remember that I know how much these are if you buy them new. I said, how much for the box? He said a number which I thought I can very much live with that, and so I've become the proud possessor of enough of these bits of cast iron to refurbish every window, probably in the town actually, and maybe next year whatever's left I'll be able to flog, won't I? So there we are. That's what happens when you tell your priest what it is that you're looking for, and you decide to go just once more around the sow. With a strong feeling that's the one that I want. But there we are. That was a very good result, I thought. Well, you know how it is when you get new toys. You've got to get them all out and look at them and count them and things like that. The problem with buying one piece to repair an old job is always finding the right one. And if we look at all of these different styles, and same styles but different sizes, you understand that this is sort of needle in a haystack sort of stuff. This is a fairly modern style one. No, actually I've got one window that's fitted with those. So you sort of scratch around and you look at all these wonderful pieces of treasure, and then you find not one but two of exactly the right one. The one that was broken was identical to one of those. So that was a good result. I shall get this on the wire wheel and make it beautiful. Paint it black, things like that, you know. So yes, I was pleased with that. And for good measure, I got to keep the box they came in. That might like being restored, mightn't it? What'd you do with these things? Soak them in vinegar or something? How'd you get rid of rust off a tin box? Answers on a postcard.